Hey guys, Ryan here, and today I just got done watching the Folds of Honor Quick Trip 500. For you guys it'll be tomorrow because computer stuff was going on. But I'm finally getting down to record this, so it's been a few hours, so went through and watched some of the highlights again. But yeah, this race had pretty much one word to it: domination. And kind of similar to a lot of this year, the people we expected, or the people throughout the race that we expected that were going to dominate, ultimately didn't end up with the results that a lot of people, I think, had expected from them. Kyle Larson, in particular, did something actually Harvick has done a lot in his career. Went to lead like 270 odd laps out of the 334. Let me look up the actual number just so I have it exactly. Yeah, so he led 267 laps. Longer than a full 400 miles at, say, Kansas. So he could have led a Kansas race from start to finish and had 2 extra laps to his credit to go on to win. But ultimately, he came up 2 seconds shy of the finish. And purely, I think, a lot of it came down to timing and who he was having to lap, because, of course, when you're putting on a show like that, ultimately you are going to have a lot of guys going a lap down. We had, let me see the full leaderboard. 14 cars finished on the lead lap in this race today. And, of course, the last one he had to lap was Joey Logano, which the guy running second for a lot of that was Ryan Blaney, and he was able to match the pace of Kyle Larson, especially as Kyle Larson started to close in on Logano. And then, of course, Logano did his thing, being an absolutely impossible to pass blocking wall of blocks. Went on to just block everything he could to get Larson slowed up, ultimately leaving an opportunity for Blaney to eventually pull the crossover move with about, I'd say, 22 laps to go, maybe a little less than that. Actually, no, it was within the last 10. So yeah, it was about 8 laps to go. When Blaney finally pulled the crossover move off. And as soon as he got around Larson, Logano moved right out the way for Blaney, and Larson just never got the break to try and catch him. Because, of course, the next lap car they got up to was putting Keselowski, I think, his 3rd or 4th lap down. Let me see. How many did he end up going down? Because he only went down that one more. So they were putting Keselowski's 4th lap down. Again, Keselowski didn't put up much of a fight on Blaney, but he certainly wasn't the easiest to get around for Larson, ultimately leading to the result that we saw. So, kind of no beating around the bush. Ryan Blaney won the race, and that adds a 6th different winner, and I would honestly say a 6th different winner that very few people expected was going to win this race. I kind of felt like he was going to do fairly well here because it is so similar to Texas in a lot of ways, outside of the fact that Texas is a fairly new repave. But even then, Blaney wasn't all that great at Texas right after the repave, but as it's gotten a few more years onto it, I mean, we saw it in 2020. He dominated the Texas race in the heat, and now you go to Atlanta, a slightly warmer environment, despite being a colder month. So it was certainly still a cold race, but it was warm and similar style track. I think it was going to lead to him being pretty good, and of course the setup was key. But yeah, the two of them, though, put 10 seconds on the rest of the field. And ultimately, I mean, outside Denny Hamlin, nobody else led more than, I think, 2 laps. Yeah, next highest lap leader, William Byron, leading 2 laps as he was coming in for pit stop. So yeah, it was definitely a race cemented by domination. But again, as we kind of learned throughout a lot of this season, it has not been what anybody's expected. A lot of people looked early on, okay? Daytona 500. Easy picks there would be Penske cars and your would be your Penske and other Ford cars. Now, granted, Ford did get to victory lane in that race, but it was one of the Fords very few people expected, with Michael McDowell. Then you went to the Daytona road course. We only have had one race there. Chase Elliott won it. He was on an absolute tear on the road courses. But Christopher Bell, a guy who up until last year and even through last year was talking all about how he was not very good at road courses. And he goes on to run down Elliott. Got lucky with the timing of the yellow for the quote-unquote rain, but we talked about that a few weeks ago. And ultimately led Christopher Bell to get a surprising win. Then we go to Homestead, where I think a lot of people pegged Larson and Reddick to be the top two, and once again, you see the surprise in William Byron being able to find his way to the front and ultimately got around them and won the race. Then you went on to Vegas, where I think Vegas was probably the most predictable because Kyle Larson and all the Hendrick camp were very fast, but it was a track that had a lot of people looking at Logano and some of the other Fords, because if you looked at the past few years, 2020 and 2019 were both Logano wins in the spring Vegas race. Prior to that, it was Kevin Harvick. Prior to that, I believe it was MTJ on his for his first win of his championship season in 2017. But up until then, it seemed like, okay, it was a Ford track. It was 2018, 2019, 2020. All three races were pretty heavily dominated by Fords. Although one of those was a penalty, but... And then you went to Phoenix, where, okay, Harvick has been the king of Phoenix, but then that mantle has kind of been passed off to some of the guys like Kyle Busch, or even Chase Elliott more recently with the domination, or even looking at Brad Keselowski with how fast his car was at Phoenix for the championship race there last year. And looking back to the spring race last year, you had Logano go on and win in fairly convincing fashion. And you see yet another surprise winner, I would say, in MTJ, who really had never shown any real... I mean, he struggled at short tracks for years. I mean, that was no secret. And Phoenix being another short-style track, it was never really Truex's comfort zone. And obviously, being a track that we'd seen a lot of guys that were very good there, and not many of them with major shakeups. I mean, the Penske guys didn't have any shakeups in this most recent offseason. It was just extra time to prepare, and you went on to see Truex manage to get that win. Now going into Atlanta, a lot of people, I think, had Harvick pegged, maybe Keselowski, Logano, even probably looking at Kyle Larson. I know I had Kyle Larson picked for this win. Ultimately, Blaney was able to stay right with him. Knew the lap traffic that was coming up was going to impact the race, and ultimately got it done when it matters. And in all honesty, I think the unpredictability continues next week. Kind of looking ahead a few days, we got the Bristol Dirt event upcoming. Both we've got the iRacing Pro Invitational. I might do something there. I don't really know, because I'll be on the road heading to Bristol myself, because I will be there for the event, and I'll talk more about this in a video either tomorrow or either later today that I'll actually record tomorrow, or Tuesday before I leave. Yeah, so I'm going to try and think up something, and obviously in that video I'll ask for your guys' opinion on content ideas as well, but I'll try and do something reflecting on the Pro Invitational race, but that will be a good way to see which drivers are at least somewhat well adjusted for the dirt conditions. And of course, practicing qualifying, and in particular heat race qualifying, will also give us a good look at how these drivers are in race condition and on the dirt in real life. But you can't discount the Pro Invitational iRacing stuff either, being a fairly good simulation of what we might see. Now, a lot of people, again, are pegging Bell and pegging Bell and Larson as the top two. When I look at drivers who haven't won yet this year, I look at Briscoe, Stenhouse, Newman, as three heavy dirt backgrounds. Stuart Frieson's going to be in the race, driving the number 77 for Spire Motorsports. The car and his relative inexperience with the Cup card make me think otherwise, but again, that would be another avenue for a surprise winner. Luckily, similar to the case with Justin Haley a couple years ago in that same car, that win won't upset the playoff cut line because Friesen is running for truck points and not in the Cup Series. So I guess that would be best case scenario if you're looking at it as a situation of not wanting wins to determine everything in this season. But I think the list I gave you earlier, Briscoe, Newman, Stenhouse, or even looking at some of the guys who have recently been doing some dirt racing, in particular looking at the Bristol stuff, LaJoy, Kyle Busch, Austin Dillon, Joey Logano. Even looking at the truck race, you've got, again, some of those names I mentioned, Briscoe, Newman, Bubba Wallace. He's won the Eldora Dirt Derby before for the truck series. So yeah, I got a lot of people that could possibly upset there. And again, I'm not hyping up Bubba Wallace as he's gonna win. I think he's definitely an outsider chance, but I think you could see a quote unquote surprise winner that isn't so surprising. Like I think Larson or I think a Harvick could easily go and win this race with the bit of extra practice from running the truck race. And in particular, having all those extra laps on this surface, I think you very easily could see a overlap and see that help him. But yeah, there's so many people running both. Timmy Hill technically, as well as running both, though he's not really a contender in either. I don't think, even if you see Timmy Hill win the Cup race, I don't think you see him be able to mount enough of a charge on points to really make it into that top 30. But yeah, so, man, that was a long discussion and kind of more of a rant talking about the season as a whole because I haven't really talked about the last two races all that much. Vegas and Phoenix, I've just kind of missed out on them a couple times because of other technical problems. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video talking about Atlanta and looking forward as kind of a little bit of a preview of Dirt Bristol. As I said, another video either later today or tomorrow before I leave for Bristol will be coming out basically discussing the plan for what's going to end up happening for content while I'm down there. There will be definitely footage being filmed. And of course, feel free to leave me your suggestions on this video and on that other video. And also feel free to leave your thoughts on the Atlanta Cup race, which happened today. But outside of that, hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next video, live stream, or whatever you guys decide to do with the rest of your day. Have a great day, everybody. Goodbye!